welcome to Married with Clix. We actually just finished our month 4 of War of Light, and we're going to let you know how we did. So we got 2 boosters of Wave 2 of the War of Light set, and I actually got to pick early which boosters I wanted, and we had 2 bricks that were cracking open for it, so I decided to pick a booster from each brick, which did me alright. My first booster, I basically got Indigo Tribe Recruit, a Soranek Nat 2, a Red Lantern Recruit, and a Sapphire Guy Gardner. I also got Morrow, the Green Lantern Super Rare, but I ended up trading away at the end of the tournament, so he's not here to show you guys. The other pack was the Black Lantern Reanimate, Cat Matui, the Indigo Sinestro, Indigo Recruit, and the Red Hal Jordan. So I got lucky in that I got 2 super rares out of the 2 boosters, which is the best that I've done so far because, like, the only other super rare I've pulled in the 4 months that I've played is Black Hand. So I was really excited, and also I really needed the Guy Gardner. So I got figures that I needed, I got super rares we didn't have, so it was very exciting for me to pull these. So when I put my team together, I basically kind of just threw together the highest point figures. It was 400 points for month 4. So I did the Morrow, that I don't have to show you guys, the Sapphire Guy Gardner, and the Indigo Sinestro. Plus, that gave me enough points to put pretty much a full battery on there with all of the constructs we have up to date that we're allowed to play, which is all the participation prize ones, as well as the scenario pack one, which is the shield. And I also went with the Green Ring, which was giving +1 to everything but damage to Morrow because he has the Green Lantern keyword. So my first round, I was up against Josh, one of the younger guys at our venue, and he's a little bit of a newer player, so he's still getting a grasp on a lot of the game concepts, but he's still doing really well with, he does really well in Sealed. So he had a Sodom Yat and a Black Lantern Abensur, and he had the Violet Ring on his power battery. So he was giving both those guys Shape Change and Mystics. There was a lot of positioning early on. He was unsure of his figures. He didn't know what they did because this is his first time in Wave 2. So he didn't get to see Sodom yet, Wreck House yet. So I was kind of positioning, and the problem with my team is that the only thing that had move and attack was Guy Gardner. So, like, Sinestro only has phasing, and Morrow starts with stealth. So a lot of my strategy was just let my opponent come to me and snipe what I can. So I was able to actually turn my battery a fair amount and get my constructs out there before my opponent came to me. So Guy was the first to go, but did deal a fair amount of damage with his Mystics power, where he has regular Mystics, but also if the attacker has a special white power, he does double Mystics. So I got Sodom Yat for 3 Mystics on that, 1 as a regular Mystics and 1 as a special Mystics. So that got him down fairly good. And then I got some pot shots off on Abensur. And then my Morrow was in a lot of trouble. And I kind of went around the map with Sinestro's 12 movement phasing. And near the end of the game, I came up behind him and based his power battery right as he had brought Abensur back to support him. So he couldn't do his support because I was adjacent to the power battery. And then I was using Sinestro to attack the power battery and actually managed to kill his battery because he had spun it deep enough into the dial that I had already taken a lot of damage, which also took all of the constructs and all of the extra perplexes and +1s that Sodomyat and Abensur were getting. So that basically brought them back down to what was on their dial, and I managed to take out Abensur before the rest of my team got taken out. So I scored a lot of points in that one. I scored 155, I think, for his power battery and Abensur, but he did manage to get pretty much my entire team. Not pretty much, he got my entire team. Round 2, I went up against a gentleman named Robin, and I've never actually played against him before, so it was really nice to get to play against a new player, or rather a player that I have not played against. And he didn't have the power battery, but he did have a really good team. He had the Fatality, Black Lantern Jon Stewart, Cat Matui, and Star Sapphire Recruit, and he had the Green Ring as a relic on his team. So I had moved forward, he had moved forward, he made a roll and actually got the ring on Cat Matui, so now she's got the Green Lantern ring and she got +1 to everything but damage. And he was positioning, and the map that we were on was the Black Mercy Garden, and it's almost all hindering, and there's really nice strips on both sides of blocking. So I was actually keeping my characters hugging the blocking so that I could either running shot out or move out and shoot. So I had brought Guy Gardner out, and Morrow was out sitting and hindering, so he's sitting in stealth, and he outwitted the Star Sapphire's Mystic's shape change, and Guy Gardner got a shot in on the recruit. Next turn managed to kill the recruit. Fatality retaliated, but then with Guy Gardner's special Mystics, she was taking Mystics as well. So I brought her down, and then Jon Stewart had moved forward to base my Morrow, which put him in a little bit of a danger zone. So I moved Sinestro up to Jon Stewart, and between Morrow and Sinestro, I was able to take Jon Stewart out. But then Fatality was able to really deal a lot of damage to my Sinestro, where Guy was able to take some more shots on Fatality, so there was a couple of Mystics there, and Guy got taken out, and then Sinestro got taken out, but by the time that those guys got taken out, Fatality was gone, and all I had left was Morrow. So Morrow's got the +1s from the Green Ring, and I put Decoy on him so that he's got the shape change, and Cat Matui based him. So we were kind of just throwing punches at each other, but I managed to roll a lot of my shape change rolls. So he was getting missed attacks where I was still making my attacks and hitting him, and at one point he decided to back off with his Cat Matui. And I was thinking of going aggressive with him, and I was going to go after him, and then I kind of took a step back and just thought, and I was just like, well, I've only lost about 200 points, and I've gotten almost 300 points off of him, so I'm like, I'm actually winning in this situation right now, so I don't need to go aggressive. So I actually backed off and brought my Morrow back to my power battery, and ended up healing him back up to the start. So he had to basically try and come back after me. So he brought his Cat Matui back out, and we sat at a point where I was sitting next to my power battery. He was shooting at me. I was trying to hit on a 20 because of the extra bonuses that she was getting from the ring. And she's got a pretty high defense late in her dial. And so it was just shot back and forth between trying to hit her high defense and trying to get around my shape change, and then intermittently the power battery was trying to heal Morrow up anytime he damaged, and just law of averages won out, and I managed to take out the Cat Matui. So he got a good amount of points off of me. He got 218 off of me, but I managed to get his entire team, which happened to be an even 400. So going into the third round, we had 3 players that were 2-0, and I was 1-1, and it just happened that because I got that 400 points off of Robin, that I was the highest of the 1-1s. So I managed to get paired up against a 2-0. So I was up against my buddy Aubrey, who I've known for years now, and I love playing against him. He's such a great guy, but I hated his fucking team. This guy, man, he had Hal Sinestro at his lower point, so his 100-point dial. He had a full-pointed Sodom Yat. He had the power battery with the violet ring, giving both of them shape change and mystics. And I was just like, oh, I hate your team so much. And we played on the Black Mercy Garden again. And so there's a little bit of positioning in the beginning, but he was a little more aggressive towards me, coming after me, and sniped my Morrow right out of the stealth. But instead of keeping at range from me on the stealth there, or on my Morrow, he charged in with his Sodom Yat. And so they were based for a while, and I brought Sinestro in, and I brought Guy in, and he was taking shots off me with his Hal Sinestro duo, while I was positioning myself, mostly focused on the Sodom Yat. And I managed to get my constructs out, and but I was getting a lot of damage. I did get to do some good Mystics damage on Sodom Yat, but then any time that I dealt damage to Sodom Yat, I was taking Mystics back. Then he also had the shape change from his battery, his violet ring. So there was a lot of shape change, that attacks were just going nowhere. And Guy got taken out, and then Morrow was half on a half dial, but at that point I had Pulse Wave. And I started pulse waving, single target pulse waving Sodom Yat, which I was only doing 2-3 damage at the time. So I wasn't doing a whole lot to him, but he was still worried about that pulse wave, getting through all of his bonuses from his constructs. So at one point I did the same thing in my first game, where I snuck around with Sinestro and brought him around to the power battery. But by the time that Sinestro was sitting next to the power battery, he was already pretty damaged. So I didn't have my top dial 4 damage, which would have done 2 to the battery like I did in my first game. I was only doing 1 to the battery, and he started at 16, and I've got to get past 20 clicks. So I didn't manage to get through the power battery before he got through my Sinestro. And then I'd gotten Sodom Yat down to his second stop click, so I almost had him done. He had 2 clicks left, but 1 good hit through my shape change on Morrow, and Morrow got taken out. So I did a lot of damage, scored no points, and he got my entire team. So I did pretty well. I enjoyed a lot of my games. I did still get 1 win, so I've got 5 event points. So for my total of the running of War of Light, I now have... I had 60, I've got 21. So I am currently in 4th. And that's only because we have 2 guys tied for 2nd. Nope, sorry, I am in 4th, 5th, because we have 2 guys in 2nd, tied. So rankings, I'm kind of in 4th, but really I'm in 5th because those 2 tied guys. So that was my War of Light.
Had to end sometime. Had to end sometime. My streak of pulling the uncommon super ubermensch is over. It took 4 months, but it finally ended. I can't say I didn't do well. I did very well this tournament still. I didn't go undefeated. The streak is over. But let's get started. Round 1. Oh, let's talk about the pulls. So 1 pack. I managed to pull a Monk, a Kilowog, a Rancor, and a Controller. Not bad pack, not terrible. I also got a Red Lantern Spectre, who was probably going to be my go-to for this because, in all honesty, there's ways I could have played this, but I kind of like the way the Red Lantern Spectre kind of played out for me, especially with the number of Sodom Yats I saw getting pulled across the tables. My other pack was a Star Sapphire Recruit, Aquaman, Kilowog, another Monk, a Salic. My other pack had a Red Lantern ring. So I had something to work with my power plant. It was all good. So I decided I was going to play Spectre. And then I had to see what kind of went with it. And when it comes down to it, I made the decision based on the fact that I pulled the Red Lantern ring, that I was going to try to maximize the effect of it. And one of the things about sealed, one of those differences between sealed play and constructed play is additional numbers are probably one of the most important things you can have, as well as rerolls, as well as outwits. Those things are way more potent in sealed events than they are in constructed events. They're good in constructed, don't get me wrong. Having Perplex, Outwit, and all these things on your team is good. But the effect is felt way more in sealed because the number of those effects is just a little off. So, in order to maximize the ring's potential, I went with Rancor. Now, what I ended up doing, because I had quite a few points left over, is even with the red ring in the battery, I had to fill it with all the participation prize constructs to boot. So I ended up having a shield, or all 4 of the prizes plus the scenario pack one. So I had the shield, I had the scissors, I had the decoy, I had the catapult, and I had the crossbow. And that was basically, one of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to spin the dial on that power plant and see what I could do with regards to stats. Because knowing full well that Sodom Yat was a figure I'm going to run into quite a bit, I'm sure, because everybody's seen me do well with him. He was going to be one of my biggest nightmares. And, as you would have it, fate has a sense of humor. So round 1, I played against combination team of Sodom Yat.
Who did you play against?
It was Spencer. It was Sodom Yat, Cat Matui, and a green power battery with some constructs. I didn't. A couple constructs. Didn't really. I don't know. The power batteries are just the power batteries. So one of the things I unfortunately had to do with my team, because Spectre lacks a lot of move and attack, and Rancor just has sidestep and 6 range, was I had to kind of stick it back in the back. So I would start off every game getting the Spectre with a crossbow, giving him 10 range with Range Combat Expert, forcing my opponent to be a little bit more methodical while moving towards me. I would use the elevated terrain on the other side, the Red Lantern Planet one, I believe, is the map where it is in the game, or in the comic books. I don't know what the map is called. I am beat right now. I'm worn out, so I apologize for how I'm going to sound in this. But that game, what I did was, because I was playing it back using my barriers from Rancor, my barriers from my power battery, I kind of bubbled in until I could get... I was bubbling in with my Spectre using the barriers, and then, of course, eventually his team was going to have to get on me. So I managed to roll Share Construct Decoy an awful lot this tournament, which helped me a fair bit. The Sodom Yat came in, attacked my Rancor, brought him pretty low, but he charged in on that, which is kind of where things went well for me. Cat Matui made an attempt on Spectre. She missed her attack, and then it was my turn to retaliate. Now, Rancor, of course, when you click him a couple clicks in, he has his penetrating poison. As well, the Spectre has penetrating poison, so Sodom Yat took 2 penetrating poison on the start of my turn. I then commenced throwing as many shots in on his Sodom Yat as I possibly could, bringing him down to his stop clicks. But I did manage to get through one of the stop clicks. Down to his stop clicks. And that left me to deal with Cat Matui, who was very quickly dispatched with a Spectre doing an awful lot of damage, and then finished off with some poison. So once my Spectre got his Rage token, he's now got a 2 square radius on his poison, which is great. But he did manage to kill my Rancor with his Sodom Yat, so now it was a chasing game. And what was worse is I got my battery on a click 18. Click 19 and 20 are the ones with the plus to stats when you have the constructs. And with the Sodom Yat, I kind of needed these extra stats to make sure I could do the hitting. So in my greed, I used ability 5 to put a third construct on Spectre, and then I subsequently lost my power battery because I managed to roll a 6 for the damage. So being on click 19 or 18, that puts you on click 21, which is the first KO click. Bye-bye to my power battery, so now I got the Spectre on his own, chasing down my opponent's Sodom Yat. But that's not a terrible situation, because what I was also doing is, because the Spectre had taken a little bit of damage, he was on those clicks where you can force your opponent to only be able to make attacks when he's adjacent to you. So I forced that. He would hypersonic away from me, and then I would get in close and maybe make a running shot from 2 squares away. Eventually, we'd be double token. I would do some penetrating poison damage to him, and it was a constant chase until finally I managed to get my last shot in on him. He clicked the dial and extended the hand. Now, I think he was supposed to roll an impervious on the last damage that he took, and he didn't, which he realized, well after the game, and I was like, I don't know why you didn't roll that. Things happen. Mistakes are always made. So one of those things to be careful of, guys, is don't, just because you get that guy gets the last hit and you're in a bad situation, don't just give it all up. Don't write off, though, because that 5 or 6 could have meant the difference between me taking him taking no damage and me taking some damage. He was doing 3 damage at one point, and I had Invincible, so I was only taking 1 at a time, and then I would regenerate, get to the click with regeneration, and probably click it a little bit more. Frustrating game for him, I'm sure. Both of us, we had to it kind of came to a roll-off towards the end of the game. But I came out on top by the skin of my teeth. One of the things you got to remember, folks, you can put a decoy all you want on Sodom Yat, but the Spectre gives himself Battle Fury, and you don't get that shape change roll. Told you guys, Battle Fury is good power. So, second round. Same opponent as my wife had in the first round.
Yeah.
And I scored the same number of points. This actually came down to one big situation. I had my power battery on its click, on its last 2 clicks. And with the Spectre, that is pretty awesome. So I had +3 to all the Spectre stats because I started dropping constructs on him. And I'm sitting there ready to blast his Sodom Yat down to his stop clicks. He had the pink ring, the sapphire ring, on his power battery, construct on Sodom Yat. So when I went to make my attack, he shape changed it. A potential for 8 damage gets shape changed. So I wept. I eventually did manage to kill his Abinster and his power battery, but the end chase didn't go as well in this game as it did in the last game. I got stuck on unfavorable clicks to chase down the Sodom Yat with. A little further down the dial, when he has 5 damage, it wasn't as favorable for me. And I lost the game. So Josh subsequently, and who also went on to win the tournament, handed me my first loss in War of Light. So that was it's round 1, Sodom Yat. Round 2, Sodom Yat. Round 3. The guy with the golden horseshoe, this guy, Ryan, he plays in our venue. He has pulled, in all the Comic Warehouse venue run War of Lights, he has pulled a chase. He's pulled a chase, everyone. He didn't stop him today.
He missed one, but he pulled the Super Rare Prime.
Yeah, so, I consider that a chase, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So his team was Sodom Yat, Soronak Natu, power battery. This one, Ryan gets us in this mode where in the 3rd round, if he isn't going to win the tournament, he kind of plays a little bit more recklessly, to say the least. And that didn't stop him this time either. So I was doing my bubble thing with the Spectre and Rancor and spinning the heck out of my dial and my power battery. And you know what? Not a single game did my power battery live. I gotta say that right now. 3 for 3 games, my power battery did not survive the game. But that's 90% my fault. 99% my fault. I needed the extra stats, and I got really greedy to get more stats. And because I wasn't getting the initial gains from the stats that I was gaining from the first bit, I was just pushing to get those last couple stat bonuses. I did it to myself. So anyway, because I was still in my starting area, I had a point where I didn't have barrier on the power battery, and I had barrier on Rancor, but Rancor had a token, so I wanted to clear him instead. So that was the one turn where Ryan decided he was going to TK with Soronak Natu with his Sodom Yat, and charge me with an object with his scissors attached to Sodom Yat, and try to take out my Spectre in one shot. Incidentally, I don't know if I remember telling you this, I was rolling decoy like crazy on the share construct and did not hesitate to not get the safe change roll. But he made an attack roll. He missed, or no, he hit, and then I probbed it with the Spectre. He hit again, and then this time I had the power battery next to him, so I probbed with that, and that caused the miss. So he has a super heavy object too, probably, or ultra heavy. And at this point, I turned around, I penetrating poisoned him, and attacked him with the Spectre. But then I hesitated because I knew he was on a click just before the stop click, and I had Rancor there, and I could have made an attack with Rancor, but I decided not to. The reason for that is if you put Sodomiat on his stop clicks, his stats get a huge boost. I couldn't let that happen. So I decided Rancor was going to chill out for the turn, while Sodomiat was on a 9 movement, 9 attack, invulnerable click. So when that happened, he tried to break away because he was in kind of a bad spot, and his breakaway roll failed. With a little bit of help from my probability control. So from there, he was stuck there with Sodomiat, trying to get Sornak Natu in a more favorable position and keep his dial spinning on his power battery. I did the penetrating poison to put him down to the stop click, and then I gave Rancor Battle Fury to ignore his shape change and try to make an attack with Rancor. At this point, I think he hit the 5-6 on his dial, and there's nothing I could really do to hit him with Rancor, so it was really more about trying to get the penetrating poison on him. That didn't end up happening with Rancor. So it was now Spectre versus Sodomiat. Now Spectre, he managed to get him down to his last click before Sodomiat made a run for it, and with the hypersonic. But he made a move around the corner, and then I based him with the Spectre, and then he made another move around a little further out into the middle of the board, and then I based him again with the Spectre. His character was double tokened, and my Spectre was double tokened, but he was on his last click with Sodomiat, which I know now very well because I played that character in at least 3 games. So with him sitting there, I just penetrated poison the last damage out of him. So it was his Sornak Natu now, but his Sornak Natu had a full set of constructs as well at this point, and she was scary. So what I did was I used a 14 movement with the Spectre that I had with phasing, and I went to go get his power battery. I gunned it for that thing. So eventually I managed to kill his power battery. It was his Sornak Natu left on the board, and I poisoned and beat him and his Sornak Natu down for the end game, giving me the final game win. So all in all, I went 2-1. I walk away with 6 event points, still in the lead with 33. As it stands right now, there are 2 guys at 23 points each. If I have the worst possible turnouts in the next 2 tournaments, and either one of them wins both, then I don't get my Necron. But if I go 2-1 in both, I will be sitting at 2-1 would get me 12 points. 12 plus 35 would put me at, or 33 would put me at 45 points. So the second and third are at 23 points. Basically, I'm in a very good position. And if somebody who isn't those 2 guys wins the next tournament, so me or anybody not those 2 guys who are in second and third, I've got a Necron coming to me. I have been playing my butt off this tournament, and it didn't stop today either. Even though I was a little hesitant with Spectre, I did manage to pull off a fairly good showing. The shape change hurt around the world in my game was pretty much what cost me the game. 8 damage going at the Sodomiat. He can have all the hypersonic he wants all day. I will eventually chase down that Sodomiat. When I don't have to roll to do damage to him and just do penetrating damage, I'm in the better position. So, but kudos to Josh, who ended up winning the tournament. And I did with some wheeling and dealing, and I did still manage to get Atrocitus. So far my collection maintains. I've got all the prizes so far. Default, default, default. See you guys in the next show.